Wait on a couple people to get in here. Come on. What's going on, YouTube family? How's everybody doing out there tonight? What's going on, Griff? Oh man. All right, guys. So, we're gonna be doing like a two-part video tonight. So we left. No, you good, Ray? You good, Ray? So we left Carrier One yesterday. And all that. So, guys, don't take this as a bashing video. Don't take this as something that I'm putting out there derogatory about the company. Okay, so we left Carrier One. The reason why we left Carrier One, me and my wife both agreed on this, and this is the reason why we left. After talking to a bunch of buddies and stuff like that. Okay, so ordered at Carrier One. We made a great paycheck the first week due to they held out truck payment and stuff like that for your first 2 weeks. Kind of hours on my 70 the second week I was out. So they bounced me home empty. First mistake. Then I come out in the hole, $918. Well, almost got myself out of the hole the second week I was out. The first week I went back out after Christmas. I left the day after Christmas. Okay. 2 weeks I went without a paycheck. Thank God me and my wife were prepared for this. We had money put back and stuff like that for this specific reason. So we went 2 weeks without a paycheck, being in the hole. My third week out, made $425 due to I pulled the money back for my emergency fund. I was putting $200 back a week in my emergency fund. If I hadn't have done that, we would only made $225 that week. Okay, so my fourth week out, we made $325. Okay, now my fifth week out, we did not make a paycheck. My sixth week out, we only took home a little under $1,100. It was before taxes. Okay, so I know with the holiday season and stuff like that, the freight's going to be slow and stuff like that. Due to government shutdown and everything, people say the freight slows down, stuff like that. Blase, blase, blase. Well, I don't know about all that because I was pretty busy. I stayed running. The only problem is that Carrier One kept running me to Texas. As much as I kept telling them to keep me out of Texas, especially the Houston area, because freight was dead, they kept running me down there. Hence, due to the fact of that, I would only do between $5,200 and $5,600 a week to the truck. Now, when you have a fixed set of costs that go almost $2,000 a week before your dang fuel and your toll costs come in for running back up to Chicago and running down, running like the tollway around Houston or stuff like that. Let's see. Recap on this. Okay. When I first started, my fixed cost was $1,600 $62.50. That was with the T680, okay? I got a 579 because my T680 had maintenance issues when I left with it. And I was finally, after about 3 weeks, I was able to get back up there to get the truck turned back in so they could fix it. Well, come to find out that it was going to be like 2 weeks before I was going to get the truck back. I said, you know what? You guys can keep the truck. Give me another truck. Give me something that has been freshly serviced, been gone through with no issues. And they gave me an Auto Shift 579. Great truck. Was one of the best trucks I had there. Got amazing fuel economy. Um, I could drive from Chicago down to Houston, Texas, and not even have to fill up once, you know, with full tanks. I mean, it was great. Um, and then, on a return trip, I could drive, a quarter of the way back, fill up again, and then drive all the way back, and then do the same thing for the round trip. Take me 4 days to do that run, okay, down and back, okay. So the potential to make money there at Carrier One is great, but your costs for your fixed costs leasing a truck through Impel are so high that it's hard to make any kind of money over there when you have almost 2 grand a week in fixed costs coming out before you even factor in fuel, tolls, and anything else like that. Um, so it was really really hard, and I learned a valuable lesson from it. Um, you know, not to believe what all the recruiters say. Okay, it was one of the number one mistakes that I made was as I listened to the recruiter when she said, "Yeah, you can make 2 grand 1,500 a week right now." I listened to her. One of the mistakes I made, and you know, wrong on my part. I understand that. So, anyways, and then, you know, the whole deal, me depleting my savings account, trying to pay my bills and stuff like that, it was just a bad situation going worse. So yesterday we turned in the truck. We turned in all the stuff that was needed to be turned in on the truck, turned the truck to trailer back in, all the load securement, um, and we left Carrier One. So now we are sitting in Birmingham, Alabama, and that'll be, you know, um, the second part to this video, um, because um, we are now starting a new company on Monday, and hopefully everything's better. So far, from what I've been able to see from the company, everything seems like it's going to work out because I am going back into another lease purchase on another truck. We're going to give this one more go and hope to God that it works. Right now, um, we are in Birmingham, Alabama. If you guys don't know which companies are in Birmingham, Alabama that are flatbed, I will give you an idea. P&S Transportation and Blair Logistics. So that'll give you guys an idea of a couple of the companies that are down here. Um, and all that. So, um, my review on Carrier One. Carrier One's a good company, hands down. I think they're a good company. The problem is if you lease one of the trucks through Impel, you gotta know your freight lanes around there because if you don't know the freight lanes like I didn't know them, you know, if you're not communicating with, Carrier One drivers about where the better freight lanes are, you're not going to make it. Um, Like I was running pretty solid between Houston, San Antonio, and back to Chicago every week, but I was just not making the kind of money that I needed to make to be able to provide for my family. So, um, with all that said, Carrier One's a good company. I think there's a few little systems, things flawed with the system, such as you don't get TARP pay, you don't get a fuel surcharge. So there's some of the stuff that would actually help you out as a driver you don't get over there. So you're paying the full brunt of the cost of the fuel, in my opinion, because they say, oh, well, it's factored into the load rate. Okay. Well, there is a fuel surcharge and there's supposed to be a TARP pay, but they don't break it down. So, um, you know, you are treated with respect at Carrier One. You are treated as a driver. Um, the only thing is you got to know the freight lanes over there to be able to successfully run a truck for them. Um, in my opinion, the truck payments are too high. You're paying a rental on a trailer, and in my opinion, you should not have to cover the maintenance on the trailer. But, you know, you're renting a trailer. So, in a sense, yeah, I get it. But, you shouldn't have to pay out of pocket for like toolboxes and stuff like that, like a dunnage rack on your trailer. That should come standard on the trailer. You know, um, you know, instead of the trailer coming with 12 winches on it, like mine did, it should have bare minimum 16 winches on both sides of the trailer. You know, because there are going to be situations where you get into where you do not have enough straps, do not have enough winches on your trailer to secure a load. And that was one of the things that Impel said, oh, well, our standard issue is 12. If you want more, you got to pay for them. Stuff like that. A lot of out of pocket costs to actually set yourself up to where you can be, very well off into the company. APUs on the trucks, they charge $70 extra a week for an APU. You know, I mean, that to me, if you're paying $850 a week for the truck, and then you got to pay $70 more for an APU, that $850 a week that you're making at $3,400 a month should well more than cover that cost of that APU that you put on that truck. Um, but there again, I'm not the owner of the company that has those trucks for lease. So, um, another thing I didn't agree with was the fact that Impel, the leasing agency that we went through to get our trucks, our trailers, they had the trucks governed. My truck was governed. The first truck was governed at 65 on the cruise and 68 on the floor, and that was the T680. Okay. The second truck, um, was 63 on the floor, 65 on the cruise. Now, I did ask them, hey, I'm making this high ass truck payment a week. Can you turn my truck up so I can run a little bit faster down the highway? Um, and they go, no, not unless you come in with a big down payment. I'm like, really? I'm paying all the fuel, the maintenance, the insurance on the truck, and a truck payment that's ridiculously high, and you guys won't turn the truck up, you know. And then they also had an idle switch on the truck that would cut the truck off after you idled it for so long, even with the APU. So what if your APU's down, and you got to idle the truck when it's 70 degrees outside and the sun's beaming down on your truck, just making it hot box in there. You know, they had it set to where at a certain temperature that truck will stay idling and stuff like that. It's just ridiculous. And then to get a bare bones basics truck, and pay $920 a week with the APU was what really turned me off. Okay. You know, cloth floor, cloth seats, you know, should have had a full leather platinum interior in it. That's just my opinion. For that kind of money a week on that truck. Um, both stacks working on that truck. Should have had LED lights on it, all that type stuff. Everywhere on that truck for $950 a week. But another thing too is like if you wanted to customize um, the truck, you had to have written consent for it. Like anything like a drop visor, mud flap hangers, new mud flaps, hub covers, lug covers, extension on your shifter, any type of stuff like that, you had to get written approval for it. Like it's like, come on, guys, like I'm making a truck payment here, you know, but you know, I understand that the company owns the truck, it's titled to the company and stuff like that, all that type of stuff. So, yeah, but yeah, Jason, yeah, it definitely was basically like driving a TMC truck because it had no balls to it going up the hills, loaded down. Trey, no, I did not go to PNS, even though the company that I'm going to is a sister company of PNS, which we'll get into that here in another video. Um, yeah, Ray, yeah, you're right. Jason, I did know about the trucks being set at 65. I did not know um, everything else until I got there. I was like, all right, well, cool. Well, maybe I can talk them into, after a couple months of being there to turn my truck up, if I'm running good, maybe talk the company into, seeing if they can get Impel to turn it up. But with the dedicated lane that I was basically running, the speed limit's 70, 75 miles an hour all the way down there. You know, 65-mile-an-hour truck. Hell, I can't even get out of my own shadow's way. You know, passing people. It's just and believe it or not, running a 65-mile-an-hour truck, I spent pretty good amount of time in the left lane. So I needed that. Hell, give me an extra 3 mile an hour to get around somebody quickly. You know, but you know, and all that. So, um, definitely learned a lesson. And actually, a buddy of mine made a statement the other day, and he's like, one of his friends asked him, he was like, well, why would you want to go work for a company that's based out of one of the most crooked cities in the U.S.? You know, you know, and all that, Chicago area, but Carrier One wasn't a bad company. It was just had a lot of problems with the leasing agency. A lot of stuff that they did, a lot of stuff that they told you you couldn't do, this and that, the other, the third. And then, you turn around and try and be the nice guy and try and go, hey, look, this is BS. Come on, guys, work with me and I'll work with you. And they wouldn't do it. It was just like, no, you can't do it. No. And I was like, really? So yeah, I've heard some rumors about like Walmart is about to start, you know, taking away the drivers of that and all that. But yeah, and that's what I'm doing it as. Is this a lesson learned? Unfortunately, it costed me a lot of money and time to do that. Um, but I want to do this whole owner operator thing. I want to do some of the lease purchases out here to see what they're like, and then be able to make the judgment call whether they're worth it or whether you know you guys can actually come out and purchase after a couple of years of driving and actually be able to make a living at it. And um, be able to make it work and actually get the title to your truck. So that way I can recommend a company to you to where you can actually get your truck if you want to run flatbed, you know. So the company I'm going to is another lease purchase company. They're all owner operator, but the way they do it, and I'll explain that in another video. Um, well, that's actually something else that I was going to get into there, Jason B. I have not actually looked at Hornady, Trey. To be honest, I have not. But I know there's a lot more flatbed companies out there. They're a dime a dozen, basically. You know, basically you put the names of the companies in a hat and you can shake them up, and the companies that look good to you, the ones that you would actually be interested in, and you just got to pick one. um, so there's a lot of flatbed companies out there, but being that I'm used to the percentage pay scale, not every one of the companies out there pay on the percentage pay scale like I'm used to. But all right, guys, I'm gonna cut this video here in a few minutes, and then we're gonna start up another video with the actual name of the company that I'm going to, and then we're gonna talk about it. And then I've got another video that I've got to make tonight, which is my review on Kiwi Brothers Trucking. I'm laying that one because I'm kind of letting the dust settle on that one because we did get terminated from them. Um, so I think, right now is probably going to be the best time to do it since it's been a few months since, all that's went down and stuff like that. I just didn't want to post a video out there saying, anything about them and then they come back saying, hey, you're bashing the company. So, my review over Carrier One is if you go over there and lease a truck, you lease one of the older ones. Um, if you go over there and lease a brand new truck, you better know where the freight is. Um, if you got your own equipment, you might actually do okay over there. So, far as the way I was dispatched, the way I was treated, everything was great. I actually had a good time over there. It was just I couldn't make no money. I couldn't feed my family and stuff like that. That's the reason why I left. Um, and everybody understood. Bill collectors don't stop calling. You know, at the end of the day, they want their money just like you want yours, right? You want a paycheck. You got to provide for your family. So, my driver manager actually understood and said, yeah, he was like, the best thing for you to do right now is just to, go ahead and, turn your truck back in. He was like, I'm seeing what you're saying because of, I ran through all my fixed costs, what I was spending per week on fuel plus tolls. And he was like, yeah, dude, he was like, I can't make an offer to you to get you to stay that would even entice you to stay because at this point, you're working on pennies on a dollar and I can't even give you quarters on the dollar, you know. So, but anyways, guys, Carrier One is a good company. It's just you have to be very smart how you run over there, and where they also have the option for you to be able to run on the broker boards over there within, as long as you're not within 150 miles of their freight lanes. So I think that's where I messed up when I would run to Texas. I would not broker my own load out. I think that was, where I messed up by letting them, you know, throw me dispatches from the company versus running a broker board. I think that's what I messed up on versus not actually, you know, doing it the right way. You live and you learn from your mistakes, and that's all that I can say. This channel here is only for, you know, teaching guys about the trucking industry and telling people about my experience as a truck driver. Up until this week, I was actually thinking about giving up driving a truck, going home, due to the fact of how hard it's been on my family since I tried to lease a truck from Carrier One. I really did think about giving it up. Um, but my wife, she keeps persevering and pushing me. An amazing woman, best best woman that I've ever been with. The best person in my life, my best friend. She kept pushing me to go forward. And anybody that says that I don't have a great wife and I don't have a great family, I will punch you in your face right now. You know, um, starting our feet planted. You know, um, but all right, guys. With that said, we're gonna cut this video. We're gonna start a new one.